Here, my Premier League Game Week 31 predictions. First game is going to be tonight, Friday Night Football, finally, after like 2 weeks off it in the Prem. Well, probably a bit more than that. But yeah, Bournemouth versus Man United. I see this one being a draw. I'm going to go for 1-0 draw. I think, again, United are just going to underestimate Bournemouth. They always do that. They underestimate West Ham, underestimate Newcastle. Yeah, I see a point apiece. I think United will be the better team, but I don't think they'll be clinical in front of goal. Hence, I'm going to go for 1-0 draw. Tomorrow, 12:30 kick-off, Brighton versus Liverpool. Unfortunately, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Liverpool, just the way Liverpool played, especially in the second half against Galatasaray midweek. Yeah, Galatasaray and Brighton are two different teams, but still, I think if Liverpool can continue that momentum, continue the way they played against Galatasaray against Brighton, I think they'll win. I don't think they'll score four, but I still do think they'll get the job done and win 2-1. 3 p.m. kickoffs now. Fulham versus Burnley. Gonna go for 1-0 draw. Both teams have really been a bit meh. Fulham got a point against Forest, then they lost midweek against Southampton. Before that, Burnley just been the same, really. Just haven't really managed to grab a win, and definitely going to go down. But yeah, I see a point apiece, 1-0 draw. Next game, Everton versus Chelsea. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Chelsea here. Just about the win, in my opinion. The loss against Newcastle at home, and Everton lost against Arsenal away. But yeah, I think Chelsea going to win 2-1. 8 p.m. kick-off, Leeds versus Brentford. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Leeds. And they got a boring 0-0 draw against Palace last week. But yeah, I think they'll beat Brentford 2-0 just. And I know Brentford did slip up against Wolves on, was it Friday? No, it can't be Friday, sorry. Can't remember when it was, but Monday. Monday, Brentford slipped up against Wolves, 2-0 up, and then bottled it, conceded 2 goals to the Wolves, and drew 2-2, but I think they'll lose this one against Leeds. Sunday now, Tyneside derby, the North East derby, Newcastle versus Sunderland. I, I predict a draw. I see a draw, but just for the crack, I'm going to go for a win. I want a win. It'll be brilliant if either team gets a win. It'll just be boring if it's a 0-0 draw or a draw in general. Yeah, but the last game at the Stadium Light was absolutely terrible. Just boring. No team looked like they wanted to win it. But yeah, I think Newcastle will win this one too, and I think they're gonna use that anger from Barca and put it all on Sunderland, the rival Sunderland, and this is a must win for Newcastle. To be honest, I mean, it'll be embarrassing if Newcastle don't beat Sunderland, their own rivals, who it's their first season back in the Prem. If they finish above them, and Newcastle are arguably the bigger club. They play Champions League games and play midweek against Barca. If they don't manage to beat Sunderland this season, then it's going to be embarrassment. Absolute embarrassment for Newcastle. Sunderland taking 4 points off Newcastle this season. It's going to be embarrassing. But yeah, I think Newcastle will get the job done. But I don't think Newcastle have won in the Prem since a good 15, 20 years now against Sunderland in the Prem. Because I remember I think Sunderland did seven in a row, 6 in a row on them. Yeah, Newcastle did beat them in the FA Cup 2 years ago, but in the Prem, they haven't beaten them yet. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on Sunday. Hopefully, it's an entertaining game. Hopefully, tackles go flying in and all that. But yeah, I think the Geordies will just get the job done and beat Sunderland 2-1. 2 2 kickoffs now. Absolutely terrible. Could have had one for 2:15 and then one for 4:30. Or they could just move this Newcastle Sunderland game for 4:30. That's what they usually do. I don't get why. By the way, a terrible match meeting again. I don't get why I've done the early kickoff, 12 p.m. kickoff. Like the big games usually get moved on to 4:30. I don't get why I've done 12, but yeah, it's match meeting for you in these days. But yeah, anyways, Villa versus West Ham. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 victory for West Ham. Sorry, not for West Ham, for Villa. They got a brilliant win midweek yesterday actually against Lyon in the Europa League. And yeah, I think they'll continue their form. I think they'll just beat West Ham 2-1. Lastly, Spurs versus Forest. Spurs, won against Atletico Madrid, but lost in aggregate 7-5. But yeah, I think they're going to slip up against Forest. That's what they tend to do. They tend to turn up against the bigger teams like us, Atletico Madrid. but I tend to slip up to the teams like Forest. And I remember last season as well when they beat us. They beat us, then the week after they lost against Ipswich at home. Literally, that's Tottenham for you. But yeah, I think the new boss, Ignore Tudor, still has to wait for his victory in the first victory in the Premier League. But yeah, I'm gonna go for 1-0 draw. And there you have it, guys. That's my Premier League Game Week 31 predictions. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And hopefully this weekend promises a load of goals unlike last weekend. Absolutely terrible.